Hello, my name is Carl Surrey and this is a video tutorial for two Facebook groups, fans of Serif software and the Affinity Designer and Photo group. In this Affinity Photo tutorial I want to look at changing the color of an object within an image from one color to another. Like this yellow flower, I've changed it into this pink flower here. Now normally the sort of more traditional way of doing this would be like in this video here by Affinity Revolution, which I will add a link to in the description for this video that I'm making, is that you would make a selection of the object, whatever it is. In this case it's this rose, and once you've made your selection then you can change the color using the HSL adjustment. I want to look at doing it a slightly different way. I've had a quick look at seeing if somebody else has made a video like this, and as yet I haven't seen one, so hopefully I'm not stepping on anybody else's toes here. So if I'm not going to be using the selection tool and the HSL, the tool that I'm going to use is a brush, and if you go to the icon for the paintbrush tool and click on the little white arrow that's below it, you get these different options, and one of them is the color replacement brush tool. Now this basically will paint whatever the foreground color is into the pixels that are, I'm guessing, in the center of whatever brush size you pick. And it has very similar options to the brush tool in that you've got the width, opacity, flow, hardness. But one option that is slightly different is tolerance. It's by default, I think it's set on 10%, which is quite low, so it will select the color that's below the brush and it will paint all the pixels of the same color in that brush area, whatever the foreground color is. And the lower the tolerance, the nearer to the color pixel the other pixels have to be before they will change to this new color. So in theory you could set the tolerance quite high and paint over a larger area, but I found that that doesn't work so well in the few times that I've tried it. It's quite good to up the tolerance later on once you've got the majority of what you want altered. It does make it rather laborious in your sort of clicking around and changing the various pixels sort of almost one by one. But I found that that process works better than trying to up the tolerance and paint all over. You may have a different experience when you try it. And the beauty of this is, because like in this example that I'm using here, because this is like the only thing that is yellow in this image, I can sort of go over the edges a bit because there are no pixels of a similar color outside, so it won't try and alter the green around the outside, it will just stick to altering the yellow. So I don't have to be so precise about how close I get to the edge. So what I need now is a color to change it to, and I've got a red already sort of partly selected here, so I'll just click on that and make my foreground red, but you could theoretically use whichever color you want. So if I just click once in various places as I go round, and like I said, this is slow and a bit laborious. I could speed this up by increasing the tolerance, but I have found that in a couple of my practice attempts to do this, that it didn't come out quite as good as if you do it the slower, more laborious way. So I will be speeding this video up and not talking for quite a while I finish this off and get the majority of this the colour I want. But one thing I will add before I do that is it would have helped if Serif had made the target point that the brush is aiming at visible, in the sense of maybe some crosshairs in the center of the brush, so that you know what you are aiming at. I mean, at the moment I have to sort of hover over an area and wait for it to change to that color to know where it is aiming at. If you had some crosshairs or something, it'd be a lot easier to find the target that you are aiming for. That's about my only gripe with this particular tool. So I'm going to be quiet now, speed the video up quite a bit, and I will be back when I get nearer to where I want to be. Right, I'm hoping that's going to be near enough. You just zoom out a bit again there. Because when you start to get to just having a few bits of the original colour left, it's very difficult to find where you're aiming at to find the colour to replace. So I'm now going to increase that tolerance. I'm going to go up to about 30% there, and I'm also going to click on sample continuously, so it will sort of, I can keep my finger on the button and just click and press and keep it going and paint around and mop up all the bits that are left over. Now I didn't do this from the word go because, like I said, when I tried this on my sort of practice run-throughs, it didn't work as well as doing it this way, doing little bits, the majority of it in little steps, and then later on coming back and polishing it off like I'm doing now. I don't know quite why it didn't work. I just found that this way worked best, and like I said, because there's no yellow on the outside, I can afford to sort of go over the edge a bit, because it's not going to really affect the outside edge. Almost there. There are still a few hints of yellow. I mean, you can zoom in and just mop up any bits of whichever colour that your image has got that you are changing. Now I have also found that I think this tool may use quite a lot of memory, and sometimes the program sort of lags behind a bit in the painting of the area I'm trying to get. And also, like I said, because you're not really 100% certain where you're aiming at when you're clicking, it's quite easy to miss off a few bits. but I'm sure you're getting the idea. It is a slightly annoying tool, but it does mean you don't have to do the selecting, which I personally find quite difficult. So if you can put up with that being a bit, this tool being a bit slow and laborious, it's quite a good way to change the colour of something. Let me just increase the tolerance a bit more. There we go. What I'll do is I'll zoom out, I'll increase the size of the brush and just go over the whole area in a higher tolerance, and that is basically it. I've changed the flower from a yellow flower to a pink flower. I freely admit it is quite time consuming, but the end result is quite good, I think. So give it a go. You may prefer the select and then use a HSL adjustment, or you can try it this way. So thank you for watching. Sorry it's been a bit boring, and goodbye.